Welcome back to Discipline and Desire. I'm your host, Sturdivant, or Laurion-Asahn. And today, we're entering a new space. A real space, a very real space. A sometimes hilarious, sometimes confusing, sometimes, why am I here again? Space. Dating in America, over 40. Yes, we are going there. Now listen, this isn't going to be heavy, but it will be sovereign. For those who have been following me and who know me, my memoir is all based on this subject, this arena. I got divorced in my 30s, and now, I could be honest, I am 46, about to be 47 in a few weeks, and it's different, but it's also fun. It's enlightening, it's informative, it's whatever we want it to be. So today, we're going to be talking truth, clarity, comedy, maturity, and the type of emotional intelligence you pick up after life has uppercut you a few times. So breathe into this episode, laugh a little, and let's get aligned. Speaking of breathing, let's do our breath work. We're just going to do 2 to make sure that we're centered and that we are ready to receive what it is that we need to receive. So inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Okay. Dating in America, over 40. Now, for those who are not over 40, please do not think that this is not for you. Because if God willing, and time is so gracious, you will be 40. So, there's a saying, a wise person learns from the experiences of others. Learn. Especially if you have older friends, older peers, older family members, learn from them. Learn whatever you can. Ask questions. Be curious. Don't judge. So our first section that we'll discuss, trust after 40. Yeah. Let's start with trust, because dating after 40, let's keep it a buck. That trust muscle is different. And what's so cool is that scientists and science supports this. Scientists will tell you that we don't forget past experiences. Our amygdala saves them like a playlist. So what is the goal here? After 40, we learn to integrate them. It's one of my favorite words. And for those that really are close to me in my inner circle, you know why. Integration. So the question is, or I should say, the question isn't, can I forget my past? No, there's no such thing as forgetting your past. The question should be, how do I build something new while honoring what I learned back then? Now, if some of us have learned or experienced the same cycles over and over and over again, that's a beautiful thing, because now you have so many examples that you can learn and build from. Because at 40 plus, we don't show up as blank slates, but that's also part of the draw, right? Like, I don't know about y'all, like, I love meeting mature people. Ever since I was young, my mom used to always joke with me. I loved women, like older women. I'd be in my 20s just looking at 40-year-olds like, like like fine wine. I was just like, there's just something about that regal, that presence, you know? We all show up with resumes, baby. History, luggage, carry-on trauma, emotional souvenirs. Perspective is everything. How do you look at it? And I'm going to do my best not to look at it as a bad thing being in your 40s. Again, many of us have folks that have never even made it past their 20s, let alone their 30s. So I feel that time is a gift. And to be this age is a gift. And everything that you're carrying, if you're still able to carry it, that's a gift. But some things we could let go. But show up and be proud of your experiences and learn from them and build from them. Now, I'm going to be sharing some statistics throughout this episode. And I understand that statistics don't tell the whole story, but they do help us reflect. So one of the statistics, I love that word. One of the statistics that I'll mention is 71% of adults over 40 report trust issues due to past relationships. 71%, that's a lot. It also mentions in that same survey that it takes 2 to 3 times longer to trust someone new after 40. So think about that. As you're building something new, as you're building the idea of a new relationship, you go in knowing, hey, just like myself, this person or these persons that I'm working with most likely have trust issues due to past relationships. Check, got it. And then you also know this person, like myself, most likely is going to take 2 to 3 times longer to trust me and trust what I'm saying. Even though I know what I'm saying is truthful. Even though I know what I'm saying is not a lie, they have heard it before. Or they have had the experiences that they've had. So I may have to repeat myself. And that comes with this territory. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we go into this. But here's the truth. Trust isn't forgetting. It's updating the file. I'm going to say that again. Trust isn't forgetting. It's updating the file. It's basically saying, I've seen what hurt me. Now, let me see what heals me. Let that land. In my last relationship, beautiful relationship that it was, I remember, I want to say like 3 months, 4 months in, we were chilling in her kitchen. She had a beautiful kitchen, beautiful window. She had a lot of plants, great space. Had a lot of great conversations and moments there. And I remember when we were just assessing, we had a lot of great conversations. And I began realizing, like, man, this relationship is a lot of fun. But what else is it going to be? Are we going to build? And what does that building look like? And the more and more we were sharing our experiences, I landed and I said, yo, are we serial daters? Like, are we like serial relationship hoppers? We both grew up in religious households, Christian domination. And because of that, we had our feelings, but we also had things in common. And we both were married for over a decade. But then after that, it seems like our pattern was we were serial daters. There were just certain things we weren't going to tolerate. There were certain things we weren't going to deal with. Yeah. We all have our whys and our reasons. But I really started looking at it. I'm like, well, what's the difference? Like, and if that is how we've been moving, is that how we're going to continue to move? And I had to be honest with myself. So let's be honest together. Let's talk about it. Serial daters. Serial relationshipers. You ever meet someone who's been in 18 relationships but can't tell you one thing they learned from any of them? Or someone who dates like they're on DoorDash. New meal every night. Now, the reality is both come from fear. Serial daters and serial relationshipers both come from fear. Serial dating equals fear of intimacy. Serial relationships equal fear of solitude. Now, I've already had a topic of the power of silence, sitting with yourself, meditating. At 40 plus, serial dating is quote unquote easy, but it is not peaceful. And it's also not aligned with who you are. Excuse that noise in the background. I don't even know what it is, but we're going to keep it moving. Because the truth is, serial dating looks light, but its energy is expensive. And I'll speak from personal experience. Not only is its energy expensive, financially, it can also be expensive. And we're going to go into the long game later on in this episode. Serial relationships may look stable, but their identity is expensive. So the question, if you have found yourself in this space, because for those that have been following me, it's all about the inner work. So while I'm making jokes, and while some of you may have met someone that's been in 18 relationships, or you may be that person in 18 relationships, I'm not judging you or those persons. Shit, I've been in more than 18 relationships, I would say past or after my marriage. Maybe not. Yeah, we'll pin that. So the question is that I have to also ask myself, and the question that I want you to ask yourselves as we do our inner work. Do I or do you want a partner? Like, really be honest with yourself. Do you want a partner? Or do you want a pattern? Let that land. Because some of us have gotten really good when it comes at patterns. If you ever play video games, if you like line dancing, if you like anything that requires a pattern, and you're able, because the way your mind works, to be able to master a pattern, sometimes that can make it easy because you've become a master in that realm. But let's keep it a buck. After a while, especially in this dating space, that pattern is exhausting. That pattern is expensive. Energy, financially, emotionally, spiritually. Do you want a partner, or do you want a pattern? Now, sex after 40. Now listen, sex after 40, it can be amazing. Huh? Or confusing. Or chaotic. Or deeply spiritual. After 40, our hormones shift. Our desires shift. For us men, testosterone lowers. Yes, there's supplements and there's things we can take, but that's just the nature of who we are. We can work out, we can lift weights, there are many things we can do. But this is just what it is, or what it can be. For women, estrogen changes. And what about the heart? That thing gets more sensitive as we get older, and rightfully so. And let's be real. Statistics say STI rates for adults 40 to 60 are up 23% over the last decade. Now, this is not because folks are wild, but this is because folks think, quote unquote, being grown means being immune to STIs and STDs. It's not the case. Sex after 40 carries meaning. It's sacred. Sex has always been sacred. It either builds connection or blurs clarity. And I'll tell you, that blurring of clarity piece is no joke. Many buzzwords. That's toxic. It's a toxic relationship. Well, many times when a relationship is toxic, it's because sex has been included. Because as much as you know that this is not good for me, this person's stressing me out, or I'm stressing this person out, or whatever the case may be, but then you say, especially when you fellas be talking, man, but that sex is amazing though. Or what? I'm not even gonna go there, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it can blur one's clarity as to what one truly needs to do for oneself. And at this age, sex is either a portal or a problem. And you know that. Guess what? Your body knows that. And your spirit definitely knows that. So, how do we date successfully after 40? We're going to talk solutions now. And in real time, I am testing these solutions. If you want different, you got to do different, right? So here's how to date with clarity, depth, and rhythm after 40. I bullet these, so I got, 7 of them, right? Step number 1, date yourself first. Again, that inner work. If you don't know your own rhythm, you'll attach to anyone who claps. I'm going to say that again. Date yourself first. If you don't know your own rhythm, you'll attach to anyone who claps. If you don't know what you want, how can you truly and successfully date and enter into a relationship? Doesn't work. If you don't know how you want to be treated, how you want to be courted, how you want to lead, how you want to be led, how you want to coexist, how you want to ... We can't put that onto someone else, especially not at this age. Now, we may not have all the answers. We may also even have 2 left feet, as the saying may goes. But you know what? You still know how to move with those 2 left feet. And we're going to talk about how we can communicate that to folks if we're getting to know them. Like, hey, I got 2 left feet, but I can do this with these 2 left feet. Maybe you can help me if you got 2 right feet. But yeah, date yourself first. Know your rhythm. Step number 2. Play the long game. Teenagers date for dopamine. Folks get that dopamine hit on social media with their notifications, DMs, pokes. Someone commented. Dopamine's that drug, that hit, that rush. But as we get older, grown, we can't keep chasing that dopamine. Grown folks date for direction. That's the long game. You ever take a long trip somewhere? I live on the East Coast. I hate driving down to Florida. I shouldn't say hate, it's a strong word. I love driving down to Florida with people that I am cool with, love, especially knowing that I'm going to be linking up with my family and my peers down there. And sometimes that drive back is a beast. But you have direction, you know where you're going. If you don't have direction, if you don't know what you want at this age, why are you dating? And if you're just dating to have fun, this goes into our third point. Communicate like an adult. Let that be known from the jump. Hey, I'm just here to have a good time. When we communicate like adult, there's no guessing. There's no mind games. Say what you feel and ask what you want. In my keynote, Discipline and Desire, one of the things I mention is that many relationships fail because couples are not able to or do not have the courage to tell their partner what it is that they actually want. I experienced this in my marriage, my first marriage. I experienced this in a few relationships even after that. But then expecting that person to mind read and know what it is that I actually want. No mind games. Ask what you want. Say what you feel. And can we please, at this seasoned and mature age, can we please retire the WYD question mark text? What are you doing? Stop it. Number 4, don't overguard your heart. Being protective doesn't mean being unavailable. Now, we've all, especially if we've gotten to this age, have experienced many things, including loss. But when we're protecting our heart, it doesn't mean that we're building walls. Insurmountable walls that people can never climb and can never truly see and understand who we are. Because when we're overprotective, it does communicate to the other person that in some ways we are just unavailable. We may be unavailable emotionally, we may be unavailable intimately, we may be unavailable intellectually. And if a person is really trying to think, hey, I want to really grow with this person, I no more play. Like I want to do things with this person. I want to build with this person. How can you really do that if that person is unavailable? If you can't see what it is that you need to see that you're working with. There's a difference between wisdom and walls. And as we do our inner work, and sometimes in a relationship we're able to do that work together, it's a bonus. We get to learn the differences between that. We get to learn the differences between, as many people are seeing now, another buzz topic in relationships, avoidant behaviors, attachment styles. Like, there's where the wisdom comes in. We're able to see it within ourselves first. And I'm focusing on that selves part because I know many folks in relationships, and I would say in unsuccessful relationships, or at least in relationships where they are not as happy as they would like to be. And many times I hear them diagnosing and labeling their partner with all of these things that they are. They're a narcissist, or they're avoidant conflict, they have mommy and daddy issues, Well, what about you? Because you're attracting these people all the time. Or you've been having this dance with this person for over how many years now? What about you? Let's do our work. Step number 5. Intention versus potential. I still plan on writing a book about this. Potential. Many people will say that they were in this relationship for all these years because this person had potential. But I think at this age, with this wisdom that we've acquired due to these experiences, isn't it safe to say that potential is fantasy. And intention is clarity. So how do you distinguish the difference between potential and intention? Going back to step number 3, communication. When there's no guessing, when there's no mind games, when you're telling the other person what you feel and what you want, and you're laying it out, and you're letting them know, I want this for this. I'm leading us here to go here. This is how I see things. This is how I am. When this happens to me, this is how I feel. ... And then realizing again, people have trust issues. People may have heard this before, so you may have to repeat yourself a few times. But if you find yourself constantly repeating yourself over and over and over again, if you hear yourself constantly laying out what it is that you want over and over and over again, and you're not getting it, but you're expecting it, newsflash, fantasy world you are in. Because this person that you are with, that you're speaking to, may not be hearing you or may not have the ability to do the things that you are asking them to do. But if you are able to do that, you're able to speak and move with intention, and it's clear, and then you are able to grow from there, then hey, your relationship is now moving intentionally. And bravo on having that experience. And cheers to many more. Step number 6. Expect maturity, not perfection. What are other things that we can expect in our 40s? And for those who are dating people over 40? Well, you can expect, typically, not all, because I've met a few, but typically, folks over 40 have children. Now, that's a whole nother conversation for itself, because someone can say, well, how many children? When it comes to a woman, how many baby fathers? When it comes to the father, how many baby mothers? That is important. Not going to front. But again, you get to communicate that, and you get to be able to build from that if that works within your cadence, your rhythm, and your vision, and your desires for what you want out of a relationship. But it is safe to say that many folks, in America at least, over 40, have kids. It's also safe to say that we can expect that if you're dating someone over 40, they also have trauma. They also have exes. They also have routines. They also have responsibilities. ... There's a lot of things that come with those who are mature and seasoned. And I'm selectively not using the word baggage. But if you want to interject that, okay, they have baggage. But again, we want to go back to perfection isn't real. Alignment is. Because let's say someone does have all of this stuff with them, but you have the capacity to not only contain it, but to be able to make their world lighter, and it's not going to be a strain on you. And in some cases, their baggage or their experiences may actually add value to your world. May add whatever you need it to add to your world and into your vision. This is why it's so important to communicate like an adult and not to be ashamed of what you've experienced and not to lie about your experiences. This is where this may get a little heavy. Because when a person lies, especially at this age, one can sense it. And for some of us at this age, it's like, yo, we're at this age. We've lived. And if you are ashamed of your experiences, thus not truly showing me who you were, because that's not who you are now unless it is. But if you're going to lie about your experiences after we're having this deep, intimate conversation, but I can sense, and some of us are so intuitive, we can also see, feel, hear your past. It is hard for us to unpin that knowing. Even the ones that know, again, that folks have trust issues. Even the ones that know that some folks may judge me for this past that I had. But this is who I am. And if they're truly going to integrate me into their world, they need to truly know who I am. And when you don't show that, not saying that you got to throw everything out in front of them and just let them know everything. Some folks do, and it works for you. But when you are hesitant, when you are lying, when you are choosing to omit certain truths, and again, you have your reasons, just know that some folks noticed and will notice that behavior. And if that unknowing is never uncovered, never discussed, eventually, that unknowing can grow roots, and that can create a wall, it can create a block, it can create a distortion to that relationship. And I've experienced that firsthand where 90% of the relationship was just amazing, but there was this 10% area that every time I would inquire, I felt what I felt. I sensed what I sensed. And I knew what I knew. And as much as I knew perhaps why this person did not want to tell me the truth, their full truth, I also said to myself, but how can I build with this person if they are ashamed of perhaps the thing that I may love about them the most? Their courage, their honesty, their ability to ... And if a person is able and willing to lie about things, again, due to one's experiences, one may say to themselves, well, what else are you able and willing to lie about? And that's where that trust piece comes in again. So again, while perfection isn't real, alignment is. And it's up to us to know what that alignment looks like and what that alignment needs to be in order for that relationship to work. All right, we're not going to be so heavy. We can get off of that. Last step, number 7. Keep play alive. Nice segue. Dating over 40 shouldn't feel like a job interview. Although these dating apps allow one to put it on their resume so folks can understand who their representative may look like and with the things that they've experienced. And I rock with it. I'm not going to front. Like, dating apps has their pros and their cons. They truly do. But dating over 40 should not feel like a job interview. Because we've lived, right? So laugh, tease, dance. For those that follow me on social media, you know I love dancing. And for those that I've been able to have the wonderful opportunity to be in relationships with, I love dancing. Together, the joining of bodies, the harmony that comes with it, the ability to be able to flirt while dancing. Also dating in 40, flirt. Keep it light, especially if you've already experienced so much heavy stuff. That's kind of like your rite of passage. You made it. Learn from it, grow from it, but play. Keep it light. Now, some folks may say after hearing all of this, and after experiencing what they've experienced, that, shit, why am I going to date people in their 40s? Maybe I should just date someone younger. They have less baggage. Well, let's talk about it. What are some of the pros and cons when we think of the age gap in the dating world? If one was to date someone younger, yes, pros, they may have more energy. And I say may, because I know some out of shape young folks. They don't make them like they used to. But they may be younger. They may be more eager. They may be more curious. There's a freshness that comes with youth, no? But what are some of the cons of dating someone younger? Emotional immaturity. And yes, emotional immaturity could be with folks older too. But, on average, if you're someone's younger, they haven't experienced as much. They may have different goals. They're seeing life from a younger lens. There may be a higher sense of insecurity at that age because they're still finding themselves. Here's a con that gets overlooked. Communication challenges. As technology increases, people move from, 10 fingers typing to 2 thumbs texting. That text world, communication is different through the generations. And if one is trying to express oneself, it may be harder to express oneself with someone who's younger. But someone younger may have a higher vocabulary because of technology. So again, these are just possibilities, but definitely pros and cons that could come when we think about this age gap. Now, what about when dating older? Pros. You would hope, I'm going to take that word hope out because I'm going to discuss that in a few. You would trust that if a person is older, they come with more stability. You may want to trust, too, that you have more shared experiences that you can build off of. Now, you notice I mentioned shared experiences, not trauma bonding. Huge difference. Dating older, you trust that it also comes with more clarity. This person should know or may know exactly what it is that they want out of life for their second half. Now, what are some of the cons that come when dating someone older? Rigidity. Rigid. This is how things have been. This is how things are going to be. Or I've been doing things for this long. It may be harder for them to shift. You ever hear that saying, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks? There you have it. When dating someone older, possibly their libido may have slowed down. Now again, there are means and there are supplements that one can take, but one has to understand that, hey, this is a possibility that comes with this realm. Also, due to experiences, one may have more fear-based patterns. Now, one can build off of this if one is able to identify these patterns. And if one is mature and has done their inner work, they can also identify this within themselves, be able to admit them, and perhaps those two folks, I'm pausing because some relationships are outside the 2 realm, but you can work on those patterns and actually build and get stronger. And another con, exhaustion. When you get older, you really start understanding and appreciating the power of rest, naps, and sleep. Younger folks just have more energy. Their life is different. Again, young, fresh lenses. They want to do everything. Let's go, 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 go. And some older folks, same thing. It's all good. But some folks, when they're older, they get exhausted and they get tired quicker. So if we were to assess these pros and cons, and one was to ask, well, which one is best? The answer is, dun, da, 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 neither. Again, alignment is the key here, not age. Choose alignment. And again, the more you know thyself, the more you know what thy wants, the easier it will be to integrate someone or someones into your world, into your orbit, into your universe. Now, we have to talk about this next. Being single too long. Is that a real thing? Yes. One can become so comfortable alone that partnership can feel intrusive. Now, I was married for 16 years. I got married when I was 21, a junior in college, for those that know my story. After my divorce, I lived with my friends in Long Island for a few months. Then I moved in with this beautiful woman. And then after that, I had roommates that were females. After having that experience, or those experiences, when I moved back to Connecticut, I got my own space. And I was like, you know what? I've always lived with someone. I've always had a woman living with me. I want to live by myself. After 3 months, I was like, I'm over it. But I also, within that time frame, began to truly enjoy my alone time. Having a man cave, my whole space was my space, my fortress of solitude. I currently live by myself. I love my space. And when I'm dating certain females, and I may entertain them in my space, sometimes when they call themselves leaving their things in my space, I have to check myself. Because sometimes I feel like you're intruding into my space. But I'm like, but if they're going to be in your life long term, doesn't this have to shift? And I had to sit in that space. But that's also where the adult conversations come in. Because my thing is, you're just leaving your things here. We didn't talk about this. But they may be thinking, we're having sex. Or we've had these conversations, we're talking about long-term relationships, or they just want to mark their territory. There are many pieces to this. But when we do our inner work, we have to start asking ourselves, what is it again do I want? Have I been single for too long? And why do I have this feeling of intrusiveness? So what are some signs that we might have been single for too long? One may be hyper-independent. Another sign, you need recovery time after intimacy. Like recovering time to be alone. Another sign, one may feel overwhelmed when someone enters into your space. Just the idea of having someone in your space. Or if they're in your space and they're there for too long, you feel, why are they here still? One may also feel invaded emotionally when someone has been in their space, in their world for too long. But the beauty here is all of this is fixable. because it took you time to get there. It took you time in that space. So it's also going to take time to fix. And what's so awesome is that connection is a skill, not a personality trait. And any and every skill can be honed, improved, perfected, mastered. But the key here, just like one is warming up, let's say to do a workout or to play a sport, warm up slowly. Give yourself time. But also, if you know that about yourself, going back to adult conversations and adult mature talk, let your partner or partners know, hey, I've been single for a long time. This may take me some time. And for those of us who are, a little bit more mastered in the space of communication and just of relations, if you are also aware from your curiosity and from your questions, you may even want to ask the person that you're entertaining or the person that you are thinking long term with, hey, I know it's been a minute since you've been in this type of relationship. Do you think ... Example, do you think you want to enter into a long-term relationship? Do you think that you can become comfortable with someone living with you or you living with someone else? Do you think it's going to take you a long time to adjust or to integrate? What do you think that you need from me to help you integrate into my world? Now again, these are just examples. But the goal is to let people in gently, not instantly. And I've made that mistake myself enough times. Things take time, and time is subjective. Long game cannot be rushed. Another thing we can accept, that when it comes to dating at 40 plus, ones may have already experienced a few times marriage, divorce, and the idea of starting over. Dating at 40 plus can feel like, why am I starting over again? Or, will I be hurt again? Or, is it even worth it? Ugh. Hear my stomach. But here's the truth. Marriage or partnership after 40 can be powerful. Like, I really want that to land. Marriage or partnership after 40 can be powerful. I've had this conversation with so many people within my circles that at this age that I'm at, I feel amazing. Not just physically, but just in the knowing of like, oh my goodness, if I would have known this at this age, but that's not how this works. But at this age, oh my goodness, I have the ability, I now have the opportunities to do ... And I could do it so differently because now I know what I know. Because at this wonderful stage in our life, we value peace over chaos, alignment over adrenaline, and clarity over confusion. It's a beautiful thing. Now again, going back to the idea in the flow of serial dating. Serial dating feels easier. But honestly, it's emptier. Partnership, marriage, whatever you want to label it, It requires work. I remember my dad, my parents, they have such an amazing love story. He was married twice. And this was recently. Like, I want to say in the last 3 years. He was like, son, marriage takes work every day. And he and my mom have been together over 40 years. And he still realizes that it takes work daily. But anything worth having, as you've heard that saying, requires work. Even as we get older in this age, like if you want to have less aches and pains, it takes work to go to the gym. It takes work to stretch. It takes work to go to the sauna. It takes work to maintain your body, your mind. It takes work to meditate. It takes work to get your finances in order. But isn't it worth it? My sister always says, and I love it, pick your hard. Would you rather wake up early and go to the gym or have to be dependent on medication? Would you rather walk every day and get your heart rate where it needs to be or risk having a heart attack and a stroke at a young age? But when you're aligned with what you want, that work, going to the gym, or that work because you want to be in a successful relationship, that work no longer looks like work. It can ultimately become a ritual for you. It can become a routine that you know is just going to make things better. You're going to gain more alignment with whatever you're working towards. And again, this is where my brand comes in. When you do your inner work first, let the relationship be an aid, not a cure. I'm going to repeat that. Do your inner work first. Let the relationship be an aid, not a cure. Too many times we put that responsibility on our partners, and it's not fair to them. And I can honestly say that I've done that myself, and it's not fair to them. Now, it doesn't mean when we're doing our work that our partners can't help and can't assist us. Again, that's why a relationship is an aid. But we cannot put the responsibility of them curing us. It's not right. It's not fair. It's not theirs to hold. But oh, how when two or more gather together, how much one can accomplish. So in closing, dating over 40 is not a punishment. It's a privilege. It's clarity. It's maturity. It's healed attraction. It's grown chemistry. It's two people walking in with awareness, not illusion. And if you walk into this arena with truth, intention, humor, and heart, love becomes easy again. This is Discipline and Desire. I am Laurion-Asahn. And next week, we're going to go even deeper. I truly appreciate your time.